Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to Deborah's Quiet Corner. I'm so glad to come before you this morning. It's early here where I'm at. I am up early today. I decided let me hop on. It's going to be so hot here. I wanted to hop on and just have a brief discussion before I get started with my day and my workout. I haven't even did that yet. I was like, let me get on and do my little, discussion in Deborah's Quiet Corner this morning and move on with my day because like it's been so hot here. Like you just want to do what you need to get done, and then you want to just kind of like go somewhere, sit under the air, and just chill. I know in between all of that, so much other stuff has to get done, and we're moving around and we're trying to, get everything done that we need to get done in between the heat. And then if you got to go out to the car, you go to the car, you turning the air on, you put the windows down, and then you're trying to just stay cool because like this heat ain't no joke, and I'm sure it's hot probably mostly where everyone is. So just try to stay cool today. Hydrate, drink some water. Make sure you keep bottles of water with you. Make sure you drink plenty of water. Keep yourself hydrated. I've been a little busy. My husband went in the hospital 2 days ago, so I'm not going to dwell on that. Thank God everything's working out. So I've been busy with that, back and forth to the hospital again. We was just there last week, and we're back again this week. But God is good and He's faithful, and we will get through this too. So keep us in prayer. If you know, if you want to send up a prayer for my husband, his name is Everett. Just send up a prayer because prayer changes things. I thank you for that. If you do that, I really would appreciate it and thank you for it because I know that collectively that helps when people are going through different things. And I'm sure you're going through something that I may not know about. I'll just lift my YouTubers up in prayer and we keep each other in prayer, keep each other covered. Um, we're going to talk on the subject of faith and risk. Faith and risk. Faith and risk. They're twins. Twins. And people have faith, but then they don't want to put the risk in. You have people that have some really, really, really strong faith, but they don't want to do the work that it takes to get to the next level. So they'll have the faith and they'll say, man, I got faith for this such and such and such, and this was dropped in my spirit, and I'm going to go and try to get this done. I really think this can happen. And then, they start moving out a little bit in that direction, and then they start seeing all these obstacles and all this risk that's involved. And then people get scared because they don't want to put the work in. We live in a society that everybody wants everything instant. We got instant mashed potatoes. We got instant pancake mix. We got instant, you can drive through for to get your medications. Everything is like instant. Instant coffee. We want things yesterday. So when it takes time to put the grind in and put the risk in and have the faith, because you can put the risk in, and if your faith don't keep up with it, you still gonna give up at some point. You gonna throw in the towel, and you gonna say, you know what, this is bigger than what I thought I could handle, and then you get discouraged, and then all of the time that you put in, you might invest the 6 months of your time into a certain project that you thought could be successful. And believe it or not, you were so close to the breakthrough when you threw in the towel. You were so close to your breakthrough when you decided to throw in a towel. That's the way it works because we get so much discouragement during the time of the building of our faith and the risk that's involved. And when you make up in your mind that you're going to try to do something, you better look out because you're going to get all kinds of obstacles. Stuff is coming. Trust me. You are not going to get to that level without a fight. You are going to have to take some risks. You are going to have to keep your faith fresh. If you don't keep your faith fresh and alive, that dream will die. You don't take those risks that's involved, that dream is not going to come to where you can see it and everybody else can see it. So you all pumped up, man, I'm about to start this business. Or female, yeah, lady, I'm going to start this little thing, I'm going to really put my time into it. I just got this vision and I just know this is going to work. And you all pumped up. You all excited. You can't wait to get started. You're like, oh, I can't wait. Oh, this is going to be so successful. You just like, oh, I can't wait to get this thing started. And then when you start stepping out and you start getting punched from the right, from the left, and punched from the right, and you get sucker punched, you get tired. And you be like, you know what? I ain't, forget this. I'm not going to even try to make this work. Forget it. I'm done. I'm not doing this. Right when you do that, you were just ready to go through the threshold of the next step that you needed to get to where you were trying to get. You were right there, threshold, threshold. This is the threshold. And you have to break through the threshold. Once you break through the threshold, then you can have the time to take the risk and keep the faith that it's going to take to get you to the next level. That's when we give up. We want to give up right at the threshold, where the threshold, and all you got to do is keep going at it, and you getting all kinds of obstacles, and that thing ain't opening. It's shut tight. People in your ear. Maybe your spouse told you, I told you this wasn't going to work. Why you take our money and invest in that? And you getting buffeted, and the dream is getting buffeted, and you getting hit from every corner. And then you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep pounding, and you keep pushing. You're through the threshold now. So now you at this threshold. Now what you going to do? Because if you think if you here and everything gonna still now start going down your highway, let me tell you, you up for a fight of your life. I've never tried to do anything where I didn't get a fight, something that I was trying to accomplish. You're going to get a fight. I'm going to get a fight. It's just going to happen. And some people intentionally don't mean to, discourage you, but the dream wasn't given to them. If the dream was given to you, you're the only one that has the faith to see it through. Nobody else can see the vision like you can, not even your spouse. And you don't start disrespecting your spouse because, you go to them first, and you tell them your intentions. Well, that's my money. I work for that money. I ain't got to give account to nobody. Well, yes, you do. If you're married and you have a spouse, it would be appropriate. That would be the right thing to go to them and say, honey, I want to. This is for the men and the females, the males and the female. If you got a wife, honey, you know what? I just think I could open this barber shop, and I think it can be successful. This is the location. This is a needed business. Everybody needs their hair cut. Or I'm gonna open up this gym. Everybody likes to work out, and I just think if I put the time and the risk in and have the faith, I can get this thing up and running. You have to sit down and talk to your spouse about big decisions like that, because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of problems. Because first of all, they know nothing about it. They're not going to be in an agreement, and there's going to always be conflict because you didn't sit down and you didn't go into it right. And that's another thing. It depends on how you go into a thing. You don't go into it right, don't look for it to come out right. We want to go into stuff all messy. You can't go into stuff all messy. You got to go into it the right way. The way you start out, those that are 40 and up, or maybe 30 and up, I'm sure you heard that saying from your mom, your grandma, Uncle Boo Boo, Uncle Susu, Uncle Boo Boo. I know they told you the way you start out is the way you finish. And a lot of times we don't realize that we start out all messy, and then stuff gets messy, and it's messy, and that mess is so hard to clean up, and it takes sometimes years. Sometimes it takes decades to go back and clean up the messes that we make. So go into it the right way. Okay, what's wrong with that? Why don't we live in a society where we feel like we got to do things the right way? We can just do stuff messy. We can't. We cannot do stuff messy and expect to get a good result. It's not going to happen. You might get a good result for a long extended period of time, but if it's a mess and it's messy and you went into it messy, you're going to end out of it in a mess, and you're going to be cleaning and digging out of that mess for maybe 10, 15 years to get back, because you took the risk, you had the faith, you did what you needed to do, but you got messy. So take that into consideration how you go into things. Don't go into it messy. Try to go into it the right way so that it can come out with a good result. Go talk to your significant other, your spouse, and let them know your intentions. Don't feel like because you make more money than them that you don't have to have the respect to go sit down and tell them this is what you want to do. Don't do stuff like that because that's messy. And we like to do messy stuff now. I don't understand. Like, I watch our world, and I'm not the judge of our world, but we live in a mess. It is so messy down here. And we wonder why we have all this stuff going on constantly. We got, and the day you turn your news on, that you don't hear something horrific because we are just in a messy, messy situation. So we're going to get back to faith and risk. In order for you to get where you need to go, you got to have some faith and you got to take some risks. You want to open that business, you got to sit down, you got to have a plan, you have to go to the bank, you have to see if you can borrow the money unless you have your own startup money. You got to strategize. You got to keep working when it looks like every single time you get one foot forward, you take 10 steps backwards. And you're like, why is this happening? Like, I'm just trying to get this done. I'm taking risks. I have the faith. Why am I getting fought so hard? Anytime you step out to do something, you're going to get a fight. That's a given. Now, if you don't want to have a fight, just sit back and twiddle your fingers like this and do nothing. And then you don't have to worry about it. But if you make up in your mind you want to go forward and you want to do something, you're going to get a fight. You're going to get a fight. You're going to get a fight. Just look for it to happen. And you're going to have people coming out of the woodwork. You're going to have haters, people that you don't even know. You'll be saying, wow, why they acting like that? I don't even know them. It's all good though, because that ain't what your goal is. That's not your job to figure out all of that. Your job is to have the faith, keep the faith. Your job is to take the risks that you need to take to get there. We don't want to take risks. We don't want to have the faith. I have friends when I was younger, and my husband and I just got married, and I would take any job. At that time, I had my first daughter, and at that time, a job was a job. Look, it was buying my kids their clothes and keeping food on my table. And look, it was all good. It's legal, as long as it was legal. And I would have girlfriends, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm praying that God give me a job. I get up every morning, and I'm praying, Lord, please give me a job. And then I asked them, well, did you go out and put any applications? And this is when you had to physically go out. Now you don't even have to go out your house. You can sit right there in your home, fill your application out. You can send your resume through the computer. You can do everything electronic now. You don't even have to go outside your house. But when I was, employed and working and taking different jobs and going to school, you had to physically go in, sit down. You had to have the interview. Well, you still do the interviews, but now you have 5, 6, and 7 interviews. Where when we were doing it back then, you got one interview. Either they're gonna hire you or you're not. So I would ask them, like, did you go put an application in for that job? Like, did you go and put a couple applications in somewhere? No, I didn't do that yet. But I have so much faith that I'm going to get that job and God's going to bless me with a job. And I would tell them, like, bluntly, like, you keep sitting there waiting for somebody to knock on your door and tell you they got a job for you. You're going to be waiting there for a mighty long time. You got to get up and take some risks. You got to go put the application in. You got to go do your part. And then, after you do your part, then you take the risk that it's going to take to get the job. You got to go for the interview. They might call you back. They might tell you to call them back. You have to take the risk that it's going to take to get to the next level. Nobody owes us anything. Nobody owes me nothing. Nobody owes you nothing. Nobody owes you nothing. And we have to prepare ourselves to be able to go out and take the risk that it's going to take for us to get to the places that we really want to get in life. And it's not going to come easy. And once you start deciding that you want to do something, you just get ready for a fight and a battle, because you get ready to go into a fight and a battle. You're going to get fought tooth and nail. People that you never thought would come up against you are going to come up against you. Because, first of all, a lot of times jealousy sits in. They don't want to see you successful. And especially if you struggled a lot and they always see you struggling, trying to get up, and then you start trying to get up, people like you better down. You may not believe that, but people would rather see you down than to see you up. They would rather see you struggling than not to see you struggling. Because then they feel like, I guess they have some type of superior over you. If they're like in a different place than you are, they feel like they're up here and you're down here. I don't understand that. How you gonna be happy seeing somebody struggle like all the time? You should want to see them go forward and be successful. Um, so encourage them and help them to keep their faith alive. And it's really your responsibility to keep your own faith alive. That's your job. And then the risks that you have to take, okay, you have to take some risks, go for it. Take the risk, do what you have to do. But make sure that once you make up in your mind that you're going to go forth and do this thing, you are going into a fight. You're going to get punched from the left. You're going to get punched from the right. You're going to get sucker punched because people would rather see you down and out than to see you up and running. And that is just the way it is. That's just the way it is. And it's sad, but that's the way it is. People would rather not see you happy and successful. And anything that you try to do that's going to be positive, you're going to get a fight. Now, if you want to just mess up and be sloppy, people ain't going to be on you too bad. But once you make up in your mind you're going to do something right, I don't care if you're trying to get married or you trying to go back to school or you trying to build a business or anything. Once you let somebody know, sometimes it's best not to even tell people what you're doing. Just get it done. Don't even tell them. Because if you start telling people your intentions to be better, you're going to get a fight of your life. So sometimes it's best not to even tell them what you're about to do. Just go get it done and have the faith and take the risk because you're going to take some risk. It's going to be a risk factor there. It's going to be a big risk factor. It depends on your dream. If your dream is small, you take small risks. If your dreams are big, you're going to have to take larger, bigger risks. And you're going to have to stick with it. And you're going to have to look past the negative voices that's going to be all up in your ear, all up in your space, telling you can't do it. I don't know why you put your money into that. You knew that wasn't going to work. And who told you could do that? Why you think you could do that? You're going to have all kinds of negative stuff coming. And you're going to have maybe one or two people, if you get that, that's going to be positive and tell you the positive side of that. Because like I said, people would rather see you down than to see you up. And that I don't understand. Why would you want to see somebody always struggling and always going through when they can have the faith and take the risk that they need to have to get to the next level? So we have to be so careful about so many things. Like, that's why I come into Deborah's Quiet Corner. Like, I just be thinking about things, and I'm an overthinker, and maybe that's a part of just who I am. I overthink things. Um, I am a risk taker, depending on how much of that I want to put myself into. I will take risks. Sometimes I'm forced into making decisions, and I'm sure some of us, all of us, have been there too, where we really didn't want to make a certain decision, but we were kind of pushed into that decision making because the decision had to be made, and we could not procrastinate on that particular decision. And sometimes a lot of us really don't want to step out of the boat and try new things and take the risk that it's going to take, especially if it starts messing with our pocketbooks and it starts messing with our sleep and it starts messing with our wallets. We don't want to take those risks because we're saying, well, what if this doesn't work? Now, I'm not talking about gambling, and I'm not talking about stuff like that, taking risks in that. If that's what you do, that's fine. I ain't knocking nobody that does that. That's your money. You do what you want to do with your money. I don't do that. I'm not giving them my money. But I don't knock nobody that does that because that's what you do. If that's what you do, that's what you do. People take risks in that. They take big risks in that. And a lot of times, they lose a lot in that. And then they really have nothing to show for that. that type of a risk. But if you're taking a risk to build a business, you're taking a risk to build a family, you decide you're gonna get married, you're gonna start something new, you're gonna have haters coming out of the woodwork. And not only going they gonna come after you, they're gonna come after the other person that's involved as well. And they're gonna be all up in the air trying to discourage them as well. So my air conditioner just clicked on. So if you heard that sound in the background, thank you, Jesus, for the air. Because I need some air up in here. Okay, hot as it is here, I am so grateful that I have that air conditioner and that it's working properly. And I know where you living at, you probably like, I am so glad for my air conditioner in your car, in your house, wherever it's at. You are thankful for that air. If you ain't something wrong with you. So we just want to be deliberate and